Hi guys. Another issue is that these headers, pipes, whatever, they are not bent like the well-known brands are. They're more straight, so it always hits the gray canister. So all you have to do for this is unscrew these two bolts, nuts, whatever, screws. You need a 9mm. Unscrew it from both of them and shift it one over. So one hole will be free and one hole will be taken. And then there's a gap right here. But you just tighten it up. And I put the other bolt back onto the empty hole right here, so it's completely sealed and it's completely solid. Like it's solid again. That little shift creates enough space so your canister here doesn't melt. Otherwise it will melt. Now you could always take it off completely by doing the block off valve, which I'm really thinking about doing because this can go. We don't really need that. But that'll be at a later time. I just want to install this right now and go with it. I don't know if I can just unplug this and call it a day and let this hang, but I'm scared something might happen, so I'm leaving it there. So there's that one thing you have to do. It is installed. I've torqued it to 16 foot-pounds like recommended. There's one thing to note. This is trial and error because there's no label. What I suggest is install the Y, let me try to get a better view. Install that pipe, the Y to a single, or Y pipe, whatever you want to call it, first on these two header pipes. Once you install those, don't spring it, just install them, and then bring it up here to get an idea of which one goes left, which one goes right. The longer one will go right. I had to trial and error this to figure out which one goes where. It was so much easier for me to put those two in there first, then bring it up to the header bolts, and then it was like a perfect match. It worked for fine. So I advise to do that. The other thing is, if you take a look, that bolt relocation that I did gave me that much of a space. That's huge. So now my gray canister will not melt, and you can see that shift that I did. It was one bolt over. That's it. Made it look as clean as possible. Now I'm gonna clean this up with rubbing alcohol, make sure everything's nice and clean. Everything is spring loaded, so it was super easy. The only bolts you have to worry about, or the nuts, are those 4 on the headers, and then finally where the exhaust goes, right there. Everything else is spring loaded. And here's the springs. Some of them were short or very long, so luckily I had extra springs, so I was able to use that. These were perfect size. They give you a lot of springs, but some of them were too long. This one I feel like isn't short enough, but it's holding it. And then finally the exhaust springs. These were too long, so I had extra ones that I'm using now. And then remember, never tighten it all the way. Trial fit it first. Once everything was fit, then I tightened everything down to torque specs and everything else. So this is how it looks. Kind of tired, but yeah, it doesn't look bad. Let me do the back. Here's how the back looks. It's got a right proportion sticking out like that. I took the silencer out because I don't want the silencer. That's pointless for me. I want it loud. Let me put this rubber gasket back on. There we go. I haven't turned it on yet. I will in a sec. I'm going to clean it up first, then I'll turn it on. Okay.